Hello everyone, this is International Master Robert Jamieson from Kids Unlimited in Melbourne, Australia. And today I thought we'd have a little chat about blunders. I'll tell you a secret, just about all your games will be decided by blunders, either yours or your opponent's. So it's important we understand what causes blunders and what we can do to avoid them. Now, there are basically two sorts of blunders. First blunder is you miss a good move for your opponent. Second sort of blunder is you miss a good move for yourself. Okay, how do we avoid these problems? Well, missing a good move for your opponent. When your opponent makes a move, the first thing you should say is, what is he threatening? So we can see if there are any threats. And then having decided on your move, before you do it, make certain you check it. Just have a quick look around. What is he going to reply? Have I missed something? All right. Moves you miss yourself, well, there's an old saying, isn't there? If you see a good move, look for a better one. So don't just play the first good-looking move you see. Have a little look around. There could be something even better. Okay, now to illustrate the topic of blunders, I've chosen a game from the Melbourne Chess Club Allegro from a couple of Saturdays ago, between two players about 1100. And there are a lot of question mark moves in this game. I think white does 8 and question marks and black does 11, something like that. So let's have a look, see if we can spot the mistakes and why they made the mistakes. Can we work that out? Let's get started. Here we go. All right, so white plays e4, Caro-Kann, d4, d5. We have the exchange variation, knight c3. Little unusual, normally you play bishop d3, knight c6, white decides to go for a pin, knight f6, knight f3. Right, imagine you're black. It's the queen's bishop's turn to develop. Where do you want to put it? Do you want to put it on f5 or g4? Which one do you prefer? In the game, black chose f5. Not the best one, probably. I mean, it's a nice diagonal. It looks all right, but it's not really doing much there. More relevant would have been to pin the knight. The point being, white has a little bit of a weak point on d4. For instance, black's probably going to play here. So he's got two pieces attacking d4. And the knight defending it is pinned, so he's got white under a bit of pressure. So bishop g4 would have been slightly better. All right, white takes advantage of his knight not being pinned, and now does a double attack on the pinned knight on c6. Black plays queen to defend it. Looks like a logical move because it develops the queen and defends the threat. Trouble is, I don't think black would have put it there had he worked out what white was going to reply. So a safer option, it looks a bit silly going backwards, but to play really safe, you could have just put the bishop back. No big deal, then e6 and off you go. But queen c7, white now has a good attacking move. Hope you can see it. Bishop f4. So what's the threat? The threat is probably knight here, with a double attack on the rook and on the queen. All right, so black says, well, I better get my queen out of there. Where should he put it? The normal square you put it on would be b6. Looks logical. However, in this instance, it would have been safer to go back to c8. Keep everything protected. Why is b6 not quite so good? Well, let's have a look. White decides firstly to put the question to black's bishop. Now, if the bishop runs away, it can get a bit messy because we can attack the knight. If the knight runs away, we've got takes. The queen can't take the bishop because fork. So black decides to play prudently and drop the bishop back. And now white has a good move, a4. All right, what do you think you would reply in response to a4 if you were black? What you should do is say, what is he threatening? And the threat is pretty clear. Pawn to a5, attacking the queen, and the queen has to run away somewhere where it's not defending the knight on c6. So black could have prevented the threat, maybe like pawn to a5, looks fairly logical. But he didn't do it. He thought, what can I do? I want to attack this bishop and chase it away. But he obviously hasn't said, what is the opponent going to reply? Because the opponent goes a5, attacking the queen. And black is now in a big pickle. Queen has to move unless you want to sacrifice your queen for 2 pieces. Queen runs away. And now white takes on c6, attacking the queen. Pawn takes. Bishop takes, skewering the queen, the king and the rook. And white wins the exchange. So what have we got? 3, 6, 7. So white is the exchange and a pawn ahead. So he's 3 points up. And black is only threatening the g4 pawn, not a big deal. So you'd have to say white has a 1 game. All right. What would you play here? Your g4 pawn is attacked. What do you think you should do? Now, in the game, white chose g5, which is reasonable. Forces the knight to move. Maybe we might have a knight swap off if he goes to e4. But I think white's got the wrong mindset. Once you have a 1 game, you should focus on not stuffing it up. So if you do nothing, if you don't make a mistake, you are going to win. You are 3 points ahead. So all you have to do is play carefully, build up your position, you win. So with that in mind, were it me, I think I'd play f3. That's nice and solid. I can castle, or move my queen and castle queenside. No big deal. But white's thinking attack, threaten. And I'm up, so I want to swap pieces. So g5, knight e4, and he gets his wish. He swaps a piece. But that's improved black's pawn a bit. And black's got good control on the white squares. All right, d5, not sure about that. I might have played c4 perhaps, something like that. Anyway, d5. Probably not too bad. Now, from black's point of view, he's 3 points down. So he's going to lose unless he can stir something up and get white to make a mistake. So the good point is white's king is still in the middle. He hasn't castled, but black needs to get his men out quickly, try and get some attack going, get some tactics, and hope white makes a mistake. So he goes e6, trying to open up for his bishop and castle. White goes, you beauty, I've got another take. But alas, that's improved black's bishop, sitting there on e6, dominating the white squares, looking pretty good. All right, let's have a little think here. If you were white, what would you play here? Probably a few moves to have a think about. Now, if you are thinking about your position and playing safe and building up, your problem is you haven't castled. Your rooks aren't in the game. And you have to be a little bit careful that black might play e3. It might be an attacking move. So if you're thinking about your position, you would probably play queen d4, maybe followed by castle's queenside. Put the other rook on the e-file. Everything's pretty good, no great problems. But white's not thinking like that. Don't know whether he's a junior and he's thinking back to his coach saying, when you're ahead, swap pieces. So white is thinking, I want to swap pieces. So he's only got 1 developed piece, so he moves it, trying to swap it off. Okay, this gives black a glimmer of a hope. I hope you can see black's next move to try and mess it up a bit. Obviously, we don't want to play bishop takes bishop and white recaptures with developing move, but we do want to play e3. So now we're attacking the rook in the corner, activating our queen, and we've got this annoying pawn here. So maybe white will make a mistake. When you're losing, you want to give your opponent options and hope that they choose the wrong one and make a mistake. So how would you defend this rook? Would you move it somewhere? Would you block the attack? What would you do? The best line is probably block the attack. Black could go takes, queen takes, probably rook here is fine for white. But white didn't do that. He made a mistake. He played rook f1. Now black has a real chance. But will he choose the best move? Not just a good move, the best move. What would you play if you were black? Alas, black saw a good move and played it. He missed the best move. The best move is pawn up. Now, if we take with the queen, black's got 2 bishops now for his rook and a few pawns, and quite good prospects. If we take with the king, it's even worse, because now we can go check, king here, and we still get the 2 bishops, and white's king is roaming around the middle. So that would have been a good move, probably the best move. But black played a good move, bishop c4, attacking the rook. All right, what should white play? It's getting complicated now. A minute ago, he was 3 points up without any problems, but now it's messy. Alas, white chose a bad move. You can probably guess what move it was, knowing what white's done so far. White likes taking, so he took. What he should have done was queen d4. And now what might happen would be bishop takes rook, queen takes pawn check, king up, takes, castles check. And white can pick up the bishop when he likes. He's going to be 2 pawns up with black's king roaming around the mulga. So that would have been the best move, but he missed it. He missed it. Instead he took. All right. Black to play now. What would you do? Do you take back the bishop? Like a good move. Do you take the rook? Do you do something else? Black played a good move, but alas, not the best move. He played queen g2. The best move is e2. And now pretty much white's forced to give up his queen. And it's bye-bye, because king takes bishop, queen here wins the rook. But black went for the good move, not the best move. White's now in a pickle with that rook, so he's pretty much forced to take. Take. Now, black is up on material. He was 3 points down a minute ago. Now he's a point ahead. Bishop for 2 pawns. Probably going to win, but it's not totally over yet. All right, king up here. Looks all right. Pawn up, possibly. King up. All right, what would you do if you were white here? So you're desperate, you're down on material, you're probably going to lose. You need to find some plan to give you a chance. Have a quick look. There's 2 ideas. First idea is to try and gobble some pawns. There's a weak pawn over here. So we could play rook here, with the idea of swinging across and either swapping that pawn or tying black down to defending that pawn. Alternative is you play where you have the advantage. We have 3 pawns to 1 over here, so we want to get these pawns rolling. So probably king here. Maybe if the rook comes here. Now we play rook here, and we're going to get these pawns rocking and rolling. Hopefully we can do something over there. But alas, white did not do that. He went rook d5. Black check. And white interposes with a rook. Now, when you're down on material, do you really want to swap pieces? Probably not. So black goes, you beauty, swap pieces, double your pawns. This is fantastic. My king's coming up. White's king's coming up. Right. Have a look here. So black's got a bishop for 2 pawns. White's not really threatening anything. It's black's go. What move would you play? Because unfortunately, black managed to come up with another blunder. Right, he played king here. Question mark, throwing the game away. All right. Why would you play king there? Answer, because you're thinking, what can I do? Like you're not looking at the big picture, just immediately. What can I threaten? What can I attack? So he wants to bring his king over and gobble these pawns, and off he goes. The only trouble is with the king offside, white can bring his king up, get this pass c pawn going. So when you have a 1 game, you need to stop and reassess what you're doing, like we did before when white was 3 pawns up, and I said he could have played solidly and no problems. Here, black should say, well, I have a 1 game. White has no threats. He can't improve his position much. I can just sit on him. So the best move would probably be bishop c6. And now, what's white going to do? Black can run him out of moves, eventually force his king to retreat, and then the king comes up. And poor old white is sitting there with nothing much to do. End of game. But alas, black wasn't thinking of the big picture. So, blunder. Now, white played h4. So he's thinking again, localized. My pawn's attacked, I want to defend it. What he should have done, let's have a look. King d5. Now here's the line, let's see what might have happened. Bishop back, pawn up, takes pawn, king across, king coming back, king coming back, king coming back. Pawn nearly queening, bishop stopping it, loses another pawn. Check. And I think it's probably a draw. I think the computer says it's pretty equal here. It's not entirely clear. There's still plenty of room for more blunders. But with best play, that's probably what could have happened. But white wasn't thinking like that. h4, king comes across, pawn up, bishop back. King is coming in to help the c pawn. Black's cobbling pawns over here. Who's going to get there first? I think it's going to be black. Here we go. We're going to just make it. Queen takes, queen, and white resigns. Because queen against the pawn on the 7th is no good. The queen is going to win. Black has extra pawns anyway. So a game that was full of blunders, largely because the players didn't look at what their opponent was threatening or what the opponent could reply to their move, or when they found a good move for themselves, they didn't look for a better one. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an understanding about blunders and you can avoid them in your own game. Okay, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.